Alright, so right now I'm going to look at creating a brand new RGO. Before I get started with that, there's a few variables and states that I just need to clarify when when we're creating a fresh RGO, just for the sake of just a little bit of pre-work and to help you understand how things are called from Mod Studio, for example. So the first thing I'm going to do is, okay, so I've got two weapons that I want to use on this tank. I have a hull machine gun and I've got a turret cannon. And basically there's a couple of states and variables that each of them need. So I'm just going to keep note of everything in a notepad file, just so I don't need to go back to the RGO in the future if I want to make changes in Mod Studio or when I start working in Mod Studio. Okay, so there's three particular things that we're going to need. So we're going to need a variable to control horizontal motion. We're going to need a variable to control vertical motion, and we need a state to control the firing sequence. Now these three are pretty standard. There's also another one for variety, just in case you happen to have barrel upgrades or something like that. I think that's all we want for the moment for the main turret. For the hull machine gun, we need a variable to control horizontal. Actually, I'll just copy and paste all this. So the thing about this variety state is you can only have one variety state applying at a time, which means if you want this is through a specific assigner related to the weapons. If you want multiple varieties, so for example if you want a upgrade to change the machine gun into a flamethrower, and then you want a separate upgrade to turn the turret into a larger barrel or something like that, you can do one through a variety state, but you'll have to do the other through a custom state. So what I'll just do is include a custom state for variety, and this will just be a theoretical to change our machine gun. So what I want to do is I need to name these. In this case I'll just we'll call it turret horrors, turret vert, turret fire, and the variety state has a specific state name, which is variety name, which we can see and assign in our weapons bag by going to anim table. Well, we have variety name and visibility name. You could theoretically use one and the other for two separate things. So what I'll do is I'll use visibility for this one, and then I'll put a custom state in somewhere else or something. Just as an example, so our variety will need to be called variety underscore name. Yep, that's about right. And our visibility has to be called visibility underscore name. And this means we can assign their values from inside this weapon RGD. Now, the other thing about weapon RGD is you see here we have here flamethrower angle and tilt for this weapon. I'll just open up a vehicle and connection. Crocodile flame should do the trick, I reckon. Yep, here we go. Okay, so this is where we assign these states. So state name is our firing sequence state. Track horizontal is our horizontal variable. Track vertical is our vertical variable. And then variety name and visibility name. Although we can change, basically instead of naming the actual state, we name the value of the state. And I'll explain that a bit more in a minute. Basically in here, when we create a new weapon RGD for this turret, we just turret fire, and then pretty sure this is case sensitive, and then a variety name could be it might be blank for default, and then if we wanted to upgrade to, I don't know, an 88mm cannon, the variety name might be 88mm, and then that would cause one of our states in here to change, and change our mesh selectors and stuff like that as well. I'll leave that theoretically blank for the moment. Tracking speeds, not such a biggie. You can, if you really want to, you can play around with different tracking speeds. If you wanted to say, basically, like have your turret move faster as it basically accelerate as it starts rotating around, and then slow down and stop. You could sit there and write all the behaviors and actions for that if you really wanted to, but you can leave it blank and it will work just fine. Okay, so that's a basic setup of a weapon. If we were to, once these are all set up in RGO, export it and chuck that weapon on, it would pretty much work straight away. I want notepad. Okay, so the other thing we need to take note of is these need to be wrapped. This simply means that if it hits the full rotation, it will keep going around, it won't stop and have to go all the way back. I'll just call these hull MG vert. Hull MG horrors. Doesn't matter what you name these as long as you know what they are. It's usually just easy to go with the standard naming convention. Alright, so because I've got two monitors, it's going to be stubborn. Hang on, I'll just resize this. Alright. Okay, I can now see my tank. Alright, so as you can see here, we have events, states, variables, and custom attributes. Okay, so we need to add these variables. Simple as right click, add variable. I don't actually need to see my tank for the moment. So we want to call this one turret horizontal. Default of 0, so it's always facing forward. A minimum of negative 180 and a maximum of 180. And we need it to be wrapped. So this means the max it can go is 180 degrees around, the minimum it can go is 180 degrees around the other way, and then what wrap does, as soon as it hits 180 and it wants to go higher than 180, it'll get set to negative 180 and then continue increasing from there. And we need to do this for each of our variables. So you don't need to have your verticals. If you don't have the full 180 degree motion, you don't need to have your min and max as 180. I simply do it as a habit, and it makes scaling your animations a lot easier, because when you auto scale them, they'll work out exactly to scale to 360 degrees, so that the scaling will be correct. You don't have to play around with it at all later. horizontal, neg 180 again, and wrap, and I think I forgot to tick. For vertical, they don't necessarily need to be wrapped, it's just good to do it out of habit. Just in case you're on the off chance that you happen to do a weapon which can rotate a full 180 degrees, if it's, you know, like a mech turret arm or something. I landed the wrong way around, that's cool. That's fine, that'll be fine like that, it'll still work. Wrap. Okay, so I've got my 4 variables for my weapons. Let's change those so they match, and then the same for that, so it's the same. Okay, so that's our variables. Okay, so we need what, 4 states. First one is going to be turret state, or turret fire. I'll set this to off. Actually, I'll change that. I'll set that to unarmed. There's, I think it's about 6 stages for the firing sequences. Arms ready, aim, fire, and reload. 5 states. I'm not sure if there's an extra one in there somewhere. Basically, this is the order it will go through. If the weapon's not equipped, you want it to default to unarmed, and then you set all your states to say that, you know, if this is equal to unarmed, then it shouldn't be visible and stuff like that. Ready means that the weapon is available. Aim obviously is when the weapon is being aimed at the target. Fire is when the weapon's being fired, and reload's when the weapon's being reloaded. If your weapon is shooting multiple times during the firing state, basically what it'll do is it'll cycle between aim and fire until it's fired enough times that it needs to reload, and then it will go reload and then jump back to ready, and then repeat the process. Okay, so a turret fire default state is unarmed for the moment. I think I can actually, I can go copy state, I can go paste state, and just delete that one, and then I can just rename this MG Hellfire, and then that's my machine gun firing state's done. I'm going to add a new state, and I'm just going to call it variety name, so it matches our other, and by default this is going to be off. Just say turret upgrade or something. So, and then what we do with this variety state is to trigger that upgrade state in here where it says variety name, we just put turret upgrade, and what that would do is that would change that state to turret upgrade, and then you'd have all your meshes and stuff assigned as requirements for that particular variety name. You can have as many variety names as you want, but you can only trigger, I'm pretty sure you can only trigger 1 variety name per excuse me, per entity. So if you want to use, you can use a combination of visibility and variety to create a huge range of possibilities, basically just through infantry. Infantry use visibility names to trigger the animations, and then variety names to trigger the actual weapon meshes. So when you're importing custom infantry weapons, you'd use a visibility name of a weapon that you wanted to use the animations for, and then you'd use a variety name, which is a custom variety name, for your new weapon. I'm pretty sure that one was the other way around, I can't remember. If you look at infantry rifle setup, it'll make more sense. Anyway, right, so, and yeah, that's where you'd put a variety name, state name, and then the same for, if you wanted turret visibility, you put a new visibility name, It's as simple as going. And it's important to make sure that your default states are set to off. Just because obviously the default state will always be triggered. With your firing states, you need to make sure that you have at least 2 of these. So you always want fire. You always need at least aim and fire. You always want fire because you'll need fire to trigger actual firing animations. You'll always need aim because you'll need your fire to turn off. And you'd have your default set to aim, and then as soon as it starts up, it'd get set back to ready, and then it would go through from there. Anyway, yeah, visibility name, and then what did I say? Like new turret or whatever. And then anything I set to requirement of visibility name equals new turret will be triggered by that, provided the unit has that weapon.